Hey there. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Stronger Together with Marc and Matt. How you been, Mark?
I'm doing pretty good. Your microphone's a little loud there, Matt. I know you're having
Oh,
some technical difficulties, and
so sorry
you're
about that.
that's all right. And we know you're working off of your phone. That happens.
Yeah, this
Um,
is sometimes
man, I'm just
technology is not my friend, but I will.
yeah. Stairs and technology. They sound like a challenge of yours.
That is so true, so true. So, tell me a little bit about what you've been up to since our last podcast.
We were the last podcast. I was down in Florida with my wife and her nieces and nephews and her sister, and that was great. Great time. No complaints. Um, I get back up here to Texas and it's challenge after challenge, things breaking. AC in the truck broke on Sunday. I spent 2 days getting that repaired at the shop, costing $2,200. Just plugging away, Matt, trying to get things done with the Mark Network and trying to plan trips. Me and the wife heading out to Ireland, August
Oh, wow.
17th to the 28th. So planning that
Nice.
trip and also planning we have coming up the Abilities Expo August
Yeah.
1st, 2nd, and 3rd down in Houston.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
just plugging away. What have you been doing up there in New York City?
So, same, just, keeping the kids busy for the summer. And I had a cool experience today. I had the
A little
opportunity,
loud,
one of
Matt.
our, oh, I'm sorry. Uh,
Still a little loud. My
all
bad.
right, I'll go to my,
Sorry about this,
now,
everybody. Matt's having a little technical
uh,
difficulty. It's
can you hear me better now?
That's way better, buddy.
All right, bud. I'll stay that way. So I had a great experience today. One of our corporate partners, Wondercraft, they have a new site in New York City. They created this exoskeleton. Actually, the owner's parents, I think it was his parents, had a disability, and this is what led to this exoskeleton creation. And there's a couple on the market, and this one is unique because it allows the user to engage their body and trunk as much as they're able to, so they can control the percentage of assistance that this exoskeleton gives, which allows it to be a therapeutic tool. So today, for the first time, I got to use it. I stood up, I walked 281 steps. I um, I started out at 100% assistance, and before I left, I was down to 70% assistance. So 30% of the movements were my body doing something to take a step. So it was an amazing experience, and I can't thank Wondercraft enough. If you're in the New York area, they have a wonderful facility in New York City and 345 Park Avenue South. It was an awesome experience, man. So I'm doing that, and then this week is my week. This is like the one week this summer that I'm actually. So tomorrow I'm going water skiing up in Connecticut with Leaps of Faith, and then Friday I leave for a rugby tournament up to Saranac Lake in New York. So it's a busy week for me, but exciting. So I'm looking forward to it. It's been good.
Man, you're busy. Sheesh, I thought I was the one that was busy, and I think you got me beat by a long shot. I don't
Yeah.
know. I guess tonight too, she might have us both beat. She's busy, but we'll talk. We'll get to her in a minute. I just want to give a shout out to Jay and Tom. Tom quit. Um, so Thomas was our last episode,
Yeah.
and he's on the Mark Network watching live, uh, giving us a good evening to you, Matt, as well as myself. And so just want
Awesome.
to give Thomas a shout out. I see we have some comments up there from Josie and Jamie. Welcome. Thank you for watching. Uh, just giving a little love to the crowd of people that, join on a regular basis and keep their eye out, see what we
And
got going.
our network is growing each week. We get a few more people. So I want to thank everyone out there for tuning in on a Tuesday and sharing our time together and also spreading the word through the community. So, Mark and I, we started this for one reason, that was to create a community to share resources and information. And tonight we have a wonderful guest that, has tackled many, things in her short life of 26 years. Mark, do you want to go ahead and introduce our guest?
Annie Heathcote is our guest this evening. She's amazing. She is a multiple business owner. She's a graphic design artist. She's a disability advocate. She's an influencer. And one of her videos, like not too long ago, just hit like 15 million views.
Wow.
So she's a rock star. She's an author as well. She'll get into all this. She's a Christian, and here she is. Welcome, Annie. I'll let you tell
Annie,
everybody what
welcome.
you're doing.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be on the podcast today. Thanks for having me.
Well, welcome, Annie. It's a pleasure to have you. Annie, so where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from a small town called Mazomanie. It's about 45 minutes west of the capital of Madison, Wisconsin.
Ah, wow, small town.
Yeah, it's really
Uh,
town though, really supportive, and I've grown up here my whole life. Strong roots, and everyone knows me. I know them, and it just feels like home.
wow, that's excellent. That's excellent. So,
Not
what's that?
My no, I was gonna say, yeah, that sounds. My wife was born with no arms and no legs, and she graduated with 39 people in her class.
Wow.
Uh, Graduated with 1,200.
How many?
1,200.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh gosh.
yeah, it's a very, very different experience. I always wanted that small town, experience. It looks so quaint and everybody knows everybody, but I don't know. I guess it could be good and bad, right? Because everybody does know everybody. Everybody knows your business, right? So, but it's got to be nice to, everybody, you recognize every face that passes by. People know you. So,
Mhm.
well, so Annie, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I mean, Mark gave a great intro, but yeah, so my name's Annie. I'm 26 years old. I'm a graphic designer, and I'm an influencer, author, multi-business owner, and I recently started another business called Annie Speaks, and I am journeying into the career of being a public speaker. I've had a lot of experience doing that, but now it's kind of shifting more to like the paid public speaking, and yeah, I've been able to do a lot of really cool events. And yeah, it's been quite a journey.
Yeah. Mark shared that video with me when we were considering inviting you and seeing if you were available. And that one hit. How many views did you hit on that one?
It's like 15 million now and
Neat.
1.1 million likes. Yeah, and it's crazy too, because I like that's my funny, like playful side, and like I hate being like serious and like have like wisdom too. But I just decided like a year ago, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be my complete self, like all of my personality, because I think we get in the shell of like what we think people want to see or hear, and it's like, you know what? I have this idea. It goes on with this movie. It was like kind of like a skit, and I felt like a year ago too, like God's like, you're gonna have a viral video, and so like this whole year I just posted consistently and worked at it, and sure enough, like it happened, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is real, it's happening. It was crazy. Like it was like I knew it had the stuff, right? Like I think this could go viral. But then like that first night I posted, I was like, oh, it only has like 35 likes, and like I was so down on myself, but it's like that's why you gotta just things take time, you know? And sure enough, like 48 hours later, I was at 2.3 million views, and then it just grew from there. Just like,
You
yeah.
you did an amazing job on your description and all that. That's what gets it to that level where you did the proper hashtags, the
Thank you.
description.
Yeah.
When you do that, that's what truly helps it. But Annie, we
Mhm.
talked. when we had you backstage before we came live, and you were talking about, surviving past your adolescence. Can you, tell us and give us a little information about the disability that or the challenges that you were born with?
Yeah. So I have a disability called SMA for short. It stands for spinal muscular atrophy, and I have type 2. There's types 0 through 4, and it basically depends on like different milestones that you meet, like when growing up and developing. And I was never able to crawl or walk, but I could sit unsupported, and so they deemed me as like type 2. Um, Type 4 is the strongest. You can get diagnosed into adulthood and not even know you have it. Um, so yeah, when I was born, my parents thought I was really strong, and I could like hold my head up well and everything. And I was the fourth child out of 5. And so they're just like, here's another one. And eventually I was not meeting those certain like milestones that kids do. And my grandma started to notice like I couldn't hold my head up as well anymore. And so they took me to different doctors and specialists, and like no one could really figure out what it was. And this one doctor just like finally figured it out. But unfortunately, he wasn't like the best person. And he called my parents up on the way to a Christmas party and basically said, your daughter is not going to make it past the age of 2. Like, go home and love her. And she's not going to have a life. She's going to be a vegetable. Like, all these horrible things that you should never, ever say or think about yourself. And they just, like, their bubble was bursted. Like, just their life shattered before their eyes. And I just, like, can't imagine that moment. And that's something I talk about in my book, is my diagnosis story and, like, what it felt like for my parents. And yeah, ever since then, I just decided like I wasn't gonna let other people define who I am, and I don't need to prove myself. I just want to explore the endless fun possibilities of life and try all the different things. And I think that's partly why I've been so successful, because the bar was set so low that I was like, I might as well just exceed it every time. It's just easy, right? Might as well go above and beyond and just see what happens. And sure enough, like I want to do something, I pursue it, I spend the time, money, and energy to make it happen, to learn the skill, and I just refine it over time, and it just gets better and better, and then it just like happens, and God blesses me in that way. So
You equate your strength. It sounds like, I mean, being parents, hearing that news, I mean, it must have been shocking, but
mhm.
obviously it didn't stop them from, motivating you and providing you with the ability to live the life you want. Do you equate a lot of your strength to their courage and strength?
Yeah, I mean, no one's perfect, but like we all love each other, and I'm thankful for the opportunities that they provided in my life. And yeah, like I really feel like God like guided all of us through it, because what people don't know too is as rare as my disability is, I think there's like 130,000 people in the world or the US or something. Like a really small number. It is deemed a rare genetic disorder. And sure enough, our neighbor across the street, they had a grandson with the same disability. And so they are like, hey, here's all the doctors to see. Here's the Cure SMA conference to go to. And like, then when my parents went to that, after having their hopes shattered, they went to that conference and saw what was possible. Like people having careers and getting married and having families. Like they were just living normal lives, but yet the medical society like deemed us so like incapable just because it wasn't the norm to be disabled. And so yeah, they provide a lot of opportunities that I'm thankful for, and always push me to do these things. And eventually I just brought it upon myself to make that a part of who I am and what I do.
Wow.
So when you say, when getting that, that message from the doctor, like I've received messages from doctors too that were just
Yeah.
so far off, right?
Mm.
And through my recovery and through my experience of being blown up, losing my leg, waking up at 35, not knowing anything about now being an amputee and all the challenges I was facing, and I was no weight bearing for a long time. I needed a special brace that needed to be created that would actually work for any length of time. I had socket fit issues, so I had numerous revisions. So I was in the wheelchair for a long, like in and out of wheelchairs for a long time. And that was why I, created this concept, just what you're saying, like you find other people, then you learn like, oh, we are normal, right? And that's where the Marc network is, why I'm pushing building that, is due for that exact reason. So families like your mom and dad, when they get that diagnosis, could open up something, or your neighbor across the street, and they can just see in the palm of their hands that like, oh, it's going to be hard, but we can do it because there's so many others doing it. It just gives you that reassurance, and then it helps you speed up that path of being independent as much as possible.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, you grew up in a small town. Was it difficult attending schools and other things, using a wheelchair and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, for a while, I was the only one in a wheelchair at my school, and I just felt like really secluded in a way of like I'm the only one with this. I would say there wasn't bullying. Everyone was super nice and supportive in my class and school, which I was thankful for. But yeah, I definitely felt like singled out. Like I was that kid that went to recess and just watched everyone else play in the playground. Like you don't forget those hard moments like that. And yeah, just like thinking back and like how hard that was. But I would literally just adapt, and I would close my eyes and just like picture myself playing on the playground. And as sad as that is, like that was like the very beginning of like your mental capacity is so powerful. And if you like, I know like my brain wasn't disabled, and I'm thankful for that. And so I use my mind to, imagine possibilities, and God gives me ideas, and I am obedient to that, and I act upon them, and I pursue them. And like the world's our oyster, right? Like we can do anything we put our mind to, right? And so when I was like playing the playground and imagining that, like that's how I adapt, and I've had to adapt and be resilient my whole life. And I actually got a chance to go back to my old elementary school when they were like renovating it to become a community center church. And I just remember like sitting in the classroom and just like crying and be like, wow, like look who like God had me become. Like look at the person I am today. And like if I could tell that little girl like what she was gonna be and who she would grow up to be and who she would impact and all the people that God would have her reach, it'd be unimaginable. But yet here I am today. And so part of my fight is being like, I want to show that little girl who was, told or shown that she was nothing or couldn't amount to much, that anything is possible.
And
I
you
love it.
definitely achieved so much, and have shown that little girl, and she'd be proud of you if it's amazing because, I know early on in my disability, I let it define who I was. It became all about me. And I felt like, well, my disability will prevent me to do this. My disability is going to limit me from this. And there was a point along the way where I was just hitting rock walls and bricks. I was just couldn't do it. And then all of a sudden one day I was just like, I met with someone and they were like, you know, is it really a limitation or is it an empowering tool? Does it gonna drive you? And once I kind of switched my views of it, and all of a sudden, like every day when I get up, when I used to look at my chair, I used to look at it as, oh man, it's, this is terrible. Now I look at it as that's my badge of honor because every day I get up, I get going, right? Just like you
Mhm.
and Mark, we get out there, we do it, right? And, we show the world what is possible because your mind is the most powerful tool we have.
Yeah, and I think the wheelchair itself is like a powerful platform because, like, when we enter a room, it speaks for us in a way of what we've battled, went through, the pain and suffering that we've had to endure, the oppression and injustice of just living in society, and all the attitudinal and structural barriers that we have to face and overcome. Like, that chair speaks for us. And then on top of all of that negative stuff, we rise above it and do like so much more with that. And it's like, whoa,
We
what a contrast,
with
right?
with
Exactly.
what Matt said, you think like your world gets small, right? Because I wasn't born like my wife, and my wife doesn't see herself really as disability, as having a disability. She just does everything.
Mhm.
In what you talk about in school, like she participated in gym class with no legs and arms, and she did her stuff that she could do. But with me, so I went and I looked at it totally different. It opened up a whole world of opportunity to me that I normally wouldn't be doing with my situation. I play sled hockey. I monoski. I was a big skier in high school, like in middle school, in high school, and after high school. I was in a car accident and it messed up my knees. So it made it really painful sometimes for me to ski. So I stopped skiing. But then when I lost my leg, I got introduced to monoski, and I was a motorcycle rider, right, Matt? And you ride a monoski, it's the same as like riding a snowmobile or
Exactly.
riding a motorcycle. And then I'm skydiving, I'm hog hunting out of helicopters, hand cycling marathons. Like I never would have done a marathon, not with my knees and my situation. And it just opened up a whole world. Like I know friends, like when they have kids, like, oh, I got kids. I'm like, dude, I had a kid, and now you're gonna go to Disney. Now you're gonna go to these places you normally wouldn't go to, and you're open to this whole new world of
Yeah.
experiences. And I looked at that like my situation, saying, hey, I got a whole new world of people, right? That like normally don't want to even talk to me, right? Like I never not wanted to talk to anybody because of the situation, but like a lot of people like you can't relate or you can't do this, and everybody gets bitter and angry. It's like stop. Like I don't, you know, I I don't know. I look at it as Matt, you went through and then hit the roadblocks, and I seen it as like, okay, let's see what I got in this bag of new tricks, you know?
Yeah.
I was just scared of how people would perceive me. That was my biggest barrier, I think. It was all about
Okay.
me and like the way I was adjusting. But then when I realized, like someone told me a while ago, it's like the only limitations we have in life is what we place upon ourselves. And I was limiting myself. And once I lifted those limitations, said anything's possible, just like you, Mark, and met a couple of other individuals. And, there was a couple of like divine intervention moments. Like I had a friend come back from college. I was a chair user, and it just happened to be right around the time of early phases where I was struggling. And he just popped up one day at a rehab I was at, and we started talking, and it just opened up all whole things, but and showed me possibilities, and I truly do believe there is definitely divine intervention, much like the neighbor across the street having a grandchild with the
Yeah.
same type of disorder that gave your parents the tools to connect you with the community and the resources. So
Yeah, and then another part too is we are actually close to one of the top hospitals. We just happen to live near that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's
wow.
just I just really feel like that's just like divine intervention, like God just like ordained all of that for it to be like, here's help, here's what you're praying for.
No,
Yeah.
it's 100% nothing happens for a reason. It's all written by him, and he
Hmm.
has it
Yeah.
all planned out. So that's the truth. And I do have so something else I wanted to bring up that kind of was talking about opportunities. You did Miss Wheelchair
Yeah,
America, right? You
let's
entered
talk
you
about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you forgot about that.
Yeah.
I was just looking at some of my notes here, and I'm going, wait, what about you know Miss
What's that?
Wheelchair America?
Yeah, we'll start with that. So I was full on into my design career. I planned on getting an agency job, but then all of a sudden people started to come to me with projects, and before I knew it, I had my own business. And it was literally because my niches were Christianity and disability, and like God brought me those people, and like, it all worked out that way. And then so when this opportunity of Miss Wheelchair Wisconsin came along, well, the first time they reached out, they're like, "Hey, you should do this. I think you'd be really great." Like your friend that did it that reached out to me, and they're like, "You're 21, right?" And I was like, "I wasn't at the time, so I couldn't do it." And then COVID hit, and they kind of had to rebuild. And then when they asked me the second time, this is when I was in my design career, like full on, and I was like, "No, I'm like too busy. Like I got a lot going on. I can't do it." and like they like really fought for me. Like they would not take no, and then I just like prayed about it more, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And so I studied up on the pageantry and like how to do all that, and it's less based on like beauty, it's more based on like advocacy, communication, presentation, speaking skills, your platform. And I was watching other women like do speeches on YouTube to like check it out more and see what it was all about. And I just remember like like hearing this voice like God's like, that's gonna be you. And I like freaked out. It was like very audible to me, and I was like, I don't know. I feel so unworthy. Like, I don't know if I can do it. Like, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna try. And that's the thing. I just try. And most people don't even try. And that's where they're held back. And it's unfortunate because imagine how much good we can put in this world if we just try. You know, we don't always know
I
the outcome, and we're not meant to.
Totally agree. Totally
Yeah,
agree
no
with
more.
that.
I think am my earbuds echoing to anybody?
No, you're good.
No, I don't.
Okay, so what that path and that journey, right, that you speak about being, I'm a person of faith as well, that I believe uh it's just doing with him.
Yeah,
It's not resisting or fighting, just going with it and
having
doing like
faith. Yeah,
yeah, just do the pageant. Someone asks you, just do it,
yeah.
right? If it's not, risky, trouble, like,
Mm.
it's in the same thing. I've been in situations and it's Annie, you can relate. It's really scary and it makes you feel almost like weird because
Mhm.
I was at the Super Bowl in New Orleans and I wasn't feeling good. I was really tired, really run down. I knew I had a big night coming up Thursday night, Friday, Saturday. The big stuff was happening for the Super Bowl because we were on Radio Row with media credentials, and a buddy of mine who runs Warrior Wishes Foundation was down there, and he asked me, he's like, "Can you give me a ride and help me set up this celebrity flag football game for this high school of like inner city youths that really need this?"
Mm.
And I said, "Yeah, I'll come help you." So I helped him get situated. He had 200 veteran families coming to this event on free through tickets. And I went to go back to get my wheelchair because my legs were killing me after helping him set up. And this was Thursday late afternoon. And I'm like, oh, if I got in the truck, it was hot. I was like, I think I'm just gonna leave. He can get an Uber back to the hotel because he actually was staying in my hotel. I was helping him out, putting, just he helps me out, I help him out, and I said he can get a ride back to the hotel. And here I am being asked to be a part of something that's for the good of all, and I and like you said, you hear that voice. It's just and it literally speaks to you like audibly, like you
Yeah.
hear it. And I just said, okay, I'm gonna get up and do it. You're right. Like, what am I doing? I'm here. Why am I gonna leave? Stop being selfish. Stop taking that on. I got out, got my wheelchair, and I wheeled in. The first person I came in contact when I wheeled through the gates was this woman, bigger woman. She's standing there and she says, I railed by her and I felt her looking at me. So I looked back and she goes, "Excuse me, can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Yeah." And she says, what would the number one piece of advice you'd give to a new amputee? So I engaged in conversation with her and I told her, like, I just accept your situation. You have to accept the situation to be able to move on and focus on what you can control, not what we can't control. I said, my leg's not growing back. I shouldn't worry about it. And worry, what we do with worry and anxiety, we pass it on for Jesus and God to take, right? And we don't have that. So she said, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." And I was like, "Can you just point me in the direction of the restroom?" She goes, "Oh, right there." So I went in, used the restroom. I came out, and she was still standing there waiting to get a chair to sit down at a booth. And I said, "I just want to say something to you. Somebody was, talking or praying for you because I was leaving." And she told me it's her husband who's a double amputee, right? He just became a double amputee. He's doing all this different thing. So I said, I was leaving. I wasn't going to be here. Right. And I gave her my card to have her husband call me and help her,
Mhm.
and help him, give him some information, helpful hints. And she said, well, my husband's a pastor and we do pray every day for this, to meet somebody to help. And I said I wasn't going to be here, and she said I wasn't going to be here either. But I saw the list of people signing up, and it wasn't many people on the list. And our kids here at the school need it. This is a rough school, rough. They need something positive like this. And she said, so I told my husband he had to figure out his chemo. We have a, she does, they do not chemo. I'm sorry, dialysis. He does dialysis, and they have a routine every night before his. And she said, you're gonna have to do it on your own and figure it out. I need to go be there for these kids. And first person she ran in contact with was me.
Mhm.
And it was just meant to be, right, as we say. Uh, but anyways, that's just something like you said. Just do it, right? Don't
Yeah,
think about it. You were thinking about it way too much with the beauty
right.
pageant, and you should
Yeah.
just follow
Mhm.
through and do stuff because it
Yeah.
always leads us to greatness, right? Doesn't it? It leads you.
And,
It led me to that woman.
hmm and
Right.
that's what I did do. I just tried, and I had to prepare and write a 2-minute speech and give that in front of the audience. There's different judging questions, like in-person judging, like privately and in front of the audience. I had to do like the paperwork and application and show up that day and like get a dress. It was like a whole competition day. There was different workshops. Like it was a big deal. And I was like, okay, I'll just like pray and like just give my best. And no matter what happens today, like I glorified God and I stewarded the opportunity well. I was obedient. I helped people, and like that's what matters. And sure enough, they're like, our next Miss Wheelchair Wisconsin 2023 is Annie Heathcote. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like it was like so exciting and like so nerve wracking at the same time, right? Because you're like, oh man, what did I get myself into? and then like it's a newer organization, so they're like building up, and they only had certain events for me to do, and there wasn't many. And I was like, okay, God, like this is where you have me. Make this what you want it to be. And sure enough, like with like my entrepreneurial skills, like I would reach out to different places and ask to, be interviewed or speak at certain places like businesses, schools, organizations. And sure enough, it was like this snowball effect. And I did end up doing 52 events by the end of the year, which I
Wow.
did not expect. Like some in the same day, many in the same week. Like, and it started out pretty like dry too. Like I didn't really get many events. I got I got the title September of 22 for the title year of 23, and then it wasn't until like December that I started like really getting events, and sure enough, it just snowballed after that, and it was just like such an honor. It really stretched me as a person. I worked from sun up to sundown every day for like a year and a half, just like posting and like advocating. Like there's different steps with getting events, like reaching out, emailing, preparing for the event, going to the event, doing the event, posting about the event. It was a lot, and I didn't know it was going to be that much. And then here I was also, working to make an income, having my all the cares that I need done, which is like a full-time job in itself, and like managing benefits, volunteering at my church, playing power soccer. Like I was way over my head. But I got through it. Like God gave me the strength in moments I felt like I couldn't go on. Like He just said, just like keep going. Like I just knew He was with me. He's got me. And I just gave all that I had to people who felt like they had nothing left to give. And that was where my heart was at. Was I just want to give so much hope and life to people that they just don't feel like they have purpose or that they mean anything to anybody. And I just wanted them to know that they were so seen and so loved. And I know they saw my heart throughout that whole journey.
And
Uh,
it's a 1 year commitment for that.
Yeah,
So,
but I ended
wow.
up just posting after that because I had my Facebook page and just kind of kept with it for a while. And I ended up competing at Miss Wheelchair America. That was
Wow.
a week-long competition in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and there was a bunch of different workshops and a speech night, and I actually gave the same speech. I just changed like 2 words, and I ended up getting the best speech award,
Wow.
and that was a pretty huge honor. And then I finished top 5, and I got third in the nation. So
Wow.
I felt pretty good about that. Like, praise God. Like, it was a really tough week. Lots of great memories too. Lots of fierce and fabulous disability advocates. Great women that I'm still in touch with to this day, who are all out there doing incredible things, advocating, changing the world for the better. And it's just so great to be a part of that. And I'll forever be thankful for that opportunity. And sure enough, since I won the Best Speech Award, that actually propelled my speaking career and was more of like proof to myself, even because it's hard for me to sometimes feel good enough, like I deserve this title or whatever it is, or like, I am a public speaker. Even just the title of influencer, I couldn't even tell people that until the video went viral because I just didn't feel worthy. And like, how sad is that we just don't adopt the titles that God wants to give us in our calling. And it's like, he makes us worthy and he makes us enough. So like, why not just like own the title,
Yeah. No.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, look what happened. You faced your fears, and look what all came from it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I
amazing.
can't imagine, like, can you imagine like missing out? Like, I came so close to saying no to some of my greatest opportunities simply because I was
See?
afraid. And the Bible says, do not fear, so many times,
Yep.
right? So
Yeah.
why are
Every
we
time.
fearing? Yeah. Like, I think there's one for each day, actually. I'm pretty sure it's like 365 like times in the Bible it says that. It's like, golly, the amount of times that we are afraid for whatever reason, right? But then like one thing leads to the next, and I just see God's hand throughout my whole life, like preparing me like for Miss Wheelchair even. Because when I was a kid, I was actually like the poster child for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. So I would like go to events and network and do interviews, and I had so much experience with that already. And I had no idea that it was like for that moment, and even now, like doing podcasts and stuff. So it's just
Yeah.
so cool.
It's
But you said you want to
definitely.
bring.
I'm
Oh,
sorry, Mark.
I
No, go ahead.
no, I just she said something that's really like strong and powerful in the sense of you want to show people and you want to make a difference. You're definitely doing that. There's so many people in our community doing that,
Yeah.
and why we say stronger together, Marc and Matt. Our disability is a difference, but as a community, your disability is different than us. But I'm in a wheelchair right now, and when I
Yeah.
go out, me and my wife going to Ireland, I'm going to be in a wheelchair. I can't walk that length of time or be on my feet. Matt's in a wheelchair, so us being advocates together, our voice is louder with the three of us here today than we are as individuals, right? We're a community, and that's, we know how important community is. That's how we all accomplish things and get through. All the people that support us, that are out there, physical, occupational therapists, the volunteers for nonprofit organizations, the people that will hold the door, the people that, fight and advocate to get a ramp put in. Like, we're a huge community, but like, we're like, sometimes we're off fighting these solo battles, and it's hard to be heard when we're doing that. And that's why we started the podcast Stronger Together. And again, why I started the Mark Network is give us one centralized location to meet, at least to meet, to have a place where anybody and everybody can go, and it's all there. And I think it's amazing what you're doing. And you said how all you want to do is help people. You are 100% helping so many people. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. So
You have a
you
book.
mentioned you're an author.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you? So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I did not expect to become an author this year. That was not on my goal list, right? But God has other plans. So the end of February, I actually got reached out to by a project coordinator, and he was like, "Hey, I have a disability. I'm an author myself. I'm putting together a team of authors, and I want to like create a movement and put out like this incredible book. And it's from people, authors from all across the world, and we want you to be a part of it." And I wasn't sure at first, right? Like, do I trust this guy? This seems legit. Like, and sure enough, I took the plunge, and yeah, it's crazy how much it almost didn't happen. Like, just like the spiritual warfare, like, I don't know, just felt like it was just like, for example, I got that and like they started writing the book, like your chapters were due in a month, and it happened really fast. And I had just left for Florida for 3 weeks to visit my sister. And I'm like, I won't have time to write the chapter. I'll have like a week to do it. And so that was like, I was like, maybe I shouldn't do it. Like, there's not enough time. And that's the thing. We wait for perfection, don't we? Like, we're like, oh, the perfect time, the perfect circumstance, the perfect person, and then we don't ever feel good enough. And it's like, no, like, just do it and make it happen. Just try, right? And so I just stuck with it. It was hard. Like, I didn't write my chapter even when I came back a few days in, and I'm like, I don't know what to write. Like, I don't know how to do this. Like, and sure enough, like, it just all came to me one night, and I just literally, because I can't type that well, so I just talked into my phone, like, as an assistive technology, and just typed it for me, in the sense where I just talked and talked and talked for, like, it just, like, time flew by so fast. And before I knew it, like, I had my chapter written in my notes app on my phone, because I was just, like, talking through it. And it happened to be right at the minimum for the word count. Exactly. And I was like, oh my gosh, here's my chapter. It just started to flow all at once. And I edited it and then sent it in.
It's
And
crazy.
here it is today. So it's just so cool how I get to tell my story. And I was just so emotional today, especially with the book launch happening, and sending it out to my friends. Like, there's so much work behind the scenes, like 60 hours of unpaid work, $1,000 invested in purchasing the books at cost, and Shopify website, and all these things that are like unseen, like huge risk, right? And I just do it because I simply want to love on people and show them they have a purpose, and care about others. And it was just such an emotional moment, because I was realizing those moments that people don't get to see, like, those hard moments in my life growing up, that I don't really get to talk about, those are in the book. And I just felt like finally seeing myself, where I got to tell my story. And it means so much to be able to share that with everybody. And I just hope and pray that it has an impact on their life, and that they see their own story and their own journey in my story, and that they're able to go out and make a positive difference in this world.
Listen, it's
They
very
will.
courageous for you to put it all out there, and I guarantee it's going to impact so many people, far more than you even expect. Can you share the title of the book?
Yeah, so it's called Still We Rise: Stories of Triumph Over Disabilities and the Strength of Empowerment. So you can find it on my Shopify website, annie-speaks.com. And if you buy it there, I can personally sign it for you, and I'll ship it out to you, or like your friend person will deliver it to you. But yeah, I'm just so excited. I just can't believe, like, it's real. Like, I'm 26 years old. I'm a published author. Like, sky's the limit from here. I have other books I want to write. So, even just having, like, God preparing me to have that marketing background, the graphic design and all that. I built my own site. I marketed the social media. I did all of it from scratch because I knew how. And the stuff I
So
didn't know, I learned.
Annie, it's annie-speaks.com.
Yeah, like a hyphen, like it separates
Hyphen.
the word. So A-N-N-I
I
hyphen, and then the word.
just shared it. I just shared it there on the comments on the United Spinal Facebook.
Can you
And
put
it's
it up
funny,
as a
like,
banner? Oh, there it is.
yeah, Kirk's got that. Thank you, Kirk.
Great.
So Annie, a buddy of mine owned a publishing company, and he's been after me for years, and I mean so many years, about writing a book. And I'm like, I don't got the time. I don't got the time. And I feel if I can help more people if I focus on the Mark Network or this podcast, Stronger Together, we can reach more people than that would actually take the time to read the book to know about me. That's but now, like, you're inspiring me to want to write
Yeah.
my
Good.
at least a chapter,
I,
right? Like,
Yeah.
you are
I
definitely
got
motivating me to.
it starts
Right,
with
man.
you got to just, Mark, you got to do it. I mean, one of the things is, honestly, much like you. I mean, not a. I didn't want to write an adult book. I wanted to write a children's book. And my son and I, when my son was little, I created a story to put him to bed, which had animal characters in it. And some had disabilities, some didn't. They were part of a circus, and it was, And my son always said, "You should write that down, Dad, and do it." And I've been kind of dancing around with it, but you know what? I think I'm motivated too. Mark, you and I, we're going to
That
be
is
published authors.
awesome.
That's
I had
it.
no idea I'd motivate you guys too. That's great. Like, let's go.
I'm
I had a
telling you.
guy, I had a guy, Annie, that reached out to me about doing my not a documentary about my life, and he's like, "We got to sign this, an exclusive thing," and I was like, didn't feel right, so I kind
Mm,
of like, yeah, I'm good. But I just got a text message today. I had another group of two guys reach out to me about connecting me to, and I don't know what I want to do. Like I'm kind of like,
mm.
nah, nah. They reached out to me today, and I have a meeting the beginning of next week. They're waiting to lock in the time about with the producer of a television network station.
That's
They want to
awesome.
do a Zoom. So maybe I'll be writing a book. Maybe I'll be doing a TV show. Maybe I'll have a documentary. Who knows?
Yeah, if
But
you have connections to a
Annie, I
TV
think
show, I'd love to be on one too. So, networking, right?
oh,
Gotta
I'll
ask.
keep you in mind.
And that's the thing too. I always just find to ask. Like
Yeah.
that's how we met, Mark. Like I went up to your booth and was asking about it, and people are like, "How did you get on podcasts?" And I'm like, I literally just ask. I know they have
Yeah,
guests. I just ask to be a guest, and I tell them who I am, and then they
yeah,
decide yes or no. And I'm not offended either way. It's just like this is meant to be or it's not. But so many people don't even ask, and so
Yeah.
many people don't even try. But it's like let's go. Let's do the thing, right?
You know
we
what?
have to
It's
do it.
it's one of those things. So like I told you I had some divine intervention, right? So I went to college 10 years before I was injured. I was in college. It was my last semester. We were in social psych class. It was a round table. And I was at the end of the table near the door because that's usually where I position myself so I can get out of there as quick as I can. And all of a sudden, this guy comes in a big power chair and parks next to me. Long story short, I had never seen a young person in a wheelchair before, but we became friends. I was helping him. I learned so much from him over the semester, and we graduated. We parted ways, lost touch. So fast forward 10 years, I get injured and I go home and I remember back, his name was Joe Alexander. I remember back to Joe and I'm like, all right, if Joe could do it, I think I can do this. And I kept hitting those walls I was talking about. So one of the days I was online and my sister had said, you should look to see if you can find Joe. And while I was online looking for an adapted van, the marquee came across and one of the pictures was Joe getting into a van. He was one of them.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I called the place just randomly and I said, look, I know this is so off the wall, but I'm going to ask you a question here. You can tell me no, much like you did with Mark asking to be on the pie. And I said, there's a guy on your marquee. I went to college with him. Now I'm injured. I would love to reconnect with him. They said, oh, that's Joe Alexander. Here's his number, right? They
Yeah.
gave me his number. They said, Joe would love for you to call me. I folded it up and I put it in my wallet. I said, thank you. I never called him, right? Never because I said I didn't want to be that person calling him like now 10 years later saying, hey, now I'm in the chair in the same boat. Now, mind you, I started working for a rehab hospital. I used to tell that story all the time about how I was carrying his number in my wallet. I finished telling the story, no lie. And I said, I really wish I could connect. And the person said, you should connect with him. I said, I really wish. I just don't know how or the way I would go about it. As I'm going to the elevator, there's a wheelchair clinic at that hospital. As I'm approaching the elevator, the doors are no jive. I'm not even
Oh
BSing. The doors open up. Who's on the other side but Joe Alexander?
my gosh.
And we reconnected. That was 15 years after I graduated, and probably about 3.5, 4 years after my injury. And
Wow.
we're still friends today. And but you just have to ask. You have to make the effort. And he said, "Dude, you should have called me 5 years ago when you first got injured." I'm like, "Oh," but yeah, just all it takes sometimes is just asking, putting yourself out there, taking chances. Life is about experiences and inquiry. And I think your story and everything you shared and everything you've accomplished tonight, you have just shared it with so many people out there that are sitting home, probably not asking those questions, not saying yes to events, and now they will. Much like Mark and I are going to be authors, and Mark might be a TV show person.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mhm.
You know, so
It's
Annie,
crazy.
we're coming up to the 8:30 mark, but we want to give you the opportunity. Aside from the book, is there anything else you want to share with us? Any upcoming things?
Promote.
Yeah.
Well, I'm always looking for opportunities, so I'll ask, like, if you have anything, any speaking events. I specialize in Christianity or disabilities, so yeah, if you have any opportunities, I'm always open to it. I actually recently just spoke in Anaheim, California, at a disability conference at the Disneyland Hotel, and I led a
Wow.
few workshops there with the conference Cure SMA. So that was super cool. Like, yeah, an amazing opportunity. I met a lot of great people in the disabled community, and I was just so blessed to be there and contribute. But yeah, I love speaking. I love impacting and helping others. One thing too, your story, Matt, it reminded me of like, how like we don't always want to like ask for help and things like that. And I think one of the main messages I'm meant to share is like dependency is not weakness, because we're meant to come together as a community, right? Like that's what Mark Network is all about, that community and finding each other and being there for each other. And it's and I'm so glad you were able to connect with your friend. That's great. And like you were totally meant to. And he was so happy to help you, right? But it was just that voice in your mind that was like, oh, I don't want to bother him, like I'm a
Yeah.
burden or whatever else. It's like so many of us just get in our head like that. And it's like, no, like people want to help. And it's honestly a gift to give people the opportunity to help, because they come out of themselves, they come out of their shell and they're like, wow, like I have a reason for being here. I have a purpose. Like I'm meant to help other people who literally don't have the skill set, whether it's the physical ability or the mental capacity, like whatever it is, like you have skill sets and talents and abilities that can help someone else. As much as the enemy is put in your head that like you don't matter, or that like you don't have what it takes, like there's always someone that could use something that you have. We're meant to bless others with the blessings that we have. And so I just want to encourage you all today, who's ever listening and watching this, like just be that blessing to someone else, like whether it's this, a huge act of kindness or even a small one, like we all can make a difference. And I just think it's so important to do so.
Well
I
said. Beautiful.
agree. Yeah.
Beautiful.
The reason, it's a positive and supportive, right? I always tell people in our situation is find a support group, ask for help. If it's drug addiction or if it's a disability, or if it's mental health, it's anything, just ask. So many people want to help. It makes them feel better, feel good. People
Yeah.
genuinely want to help. I was the biggest beneficiary of help, the Boston Marathon bombing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so many people donated and supported and reached out and helped us and did so much. That's why I'm building what we're building, like, because I know support is key. Community and support. We need support. We should ask for support. We should support
Mhm.
one another. And
Yeah.
then information and resources, we should share them. That just brings our community, makes us stronger. And I love it. Annie, great talking to you. Amazing. So proud of you, of
Thank
everything
you.
that you've accomplished. I mean,
Yeah.
I have notes in the pages of the notes of everything, and it's just, I was in awe reading everything. And when you
Yeah.
came up and talked to me, your glow, and just talking to you for that, brief interaction that we had. I think you engaged with my son too, right? Did you
Yeah.
talk to my son? Yeah. So I was like, Matt, we gotta get Annie on. We gotta get
Mhm.
Annie on here and let her share her message and let her share all that she's accomplished, because she's a person that's put the work in, and that's one thing with our community. You know what? We have to put the work in. We do.
Mhm.
And and
Yeah.
and and it, and it feels great, right? When you get rewarded for it, right,
Yeah.
Annie?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, Annie, what I take away from what you shared, and it's kind of the way Mark and I have been living for the last, many years, is take chances, say yes, engage, put
Mhm.
yourself out there, right? It's like you never know what will come from it if you
Yeah.
just try. The worst thing that can happen is either you fail and learn and figure out and then reapproach, or some you succeed and become Miss Wheelchair and have one of the top speeches in the world, an author and an entrepreneur. And Andy, I don't know if you're familiar with United Spinal and some of our programs and services, but I would love, we have an entrepreneurship employment program that we always love to engage with people that are out there doing businesses, creating their own businesses to inspire others. And I'd love to have you link up with our director of Pathways to Employment to be a
Yeah.
speaker at one of his sessions.
That would be awesome. Look at that. See, the ask worked, didn't it, guys?
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah, right.
Thank you, Matt. I would love to do that. Thank you.
Awesome. And there's so many other things that, I would love to get you involved with. We have a huge advocacy piece. I know that's a big part of, your platform. And we do a role on Capitol Hill. And we need strong people like you out there inspiring others to get out there and speak up and be advocates and empower our community and make change, right? Because if we don't speak up and we don't, share what our needs are, nothing's ever going to change. We're never, So thank you for everything. Thank you for, putting yourself out there, taking chances, writing your story in a book. And I'm gonna buy one. I want to get an
Yeah,
autograph from you, right?
for sure.
So
I'll do that for you.
awesome, awesome. Well, Andy, thank you very much for coming up to the 8:30 hour. So, I think this was wonderful. We'd love to have you back again and,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, circle back and touch base, see where what's new in your life in about 6 months from now, because I guarantee there's going to be 10 other things you accomplish.
Yeah.
Oh, there you
Oh,
are. Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome.
That's my book.
Oh,
I can't wait
nice.
for you all to get it. Thank you so much. I loved being
All
on
right.
this and talking with you both. I mean, it just felt like so natural and everything. So thanks for having me on, and thanks for everyone for watching. Like, it's so great to have your
Awesome.
support.
Okay. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Andy.
Matt, United Spinal dot.
Org.
Mark.
UnitedSpinal.org. Everyone out there, please visit. Check out our services and programs. Join. It's a free membership. It's a community of peers, people with mobility, trying to help others with mobility. And Mark Network, Mark, share about your app and everything.
Yeah, so it's a free mobile app. It's in Apple, it's in Google, or you can go on community.marc, M-A-R-C, network.world. So it's a free mobile app. Individuals facing mobility challenges, their loved ones, and the community that services them to engage in conversation, share information, and share resources. It's an Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, all in one, with a resource search engine being built. It's there. We're expanding on it every chance we can get. So check it out. And
It's
thank you. And
awesome.
next 2 Tuesdays, right?
Yeah. 2 Tuesdays from now, we have, what do we have? Who's our next one, Mark? I don't know. We're trying to lock that in. I think we're looking at either Earl Brown
Earl
uh,
Granville.
or Earl Granville. But tune in. Will be posted. But guys, listen. For if you missed anything tonight, or if someone couldn't attend that that would benefit, we run a recording next week on Tuesday. You can tune in, check it out. It'll be posted. Please download the Mark Network and join the community. It gives you instant access to organizations around the country, including United Spinal. Join unitedspinal.org. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.